Welcome back to our channel where we share updates and untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. Today we bring you some significant news: King Charles exiles, Queen Camilla's family over corruption scandal. King Charles III has cut off all relations with Queen Camilla's children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, in a shocking and unprecedented decision that has rocked the British monarchy and the country. This comes after a huge corruption scandal that threatens the crown. Queen Camilla fainted in a corridor at Buckingham Palace in front of her royal guards after a string of tragic events. She was overwhelmed by the emotional and constitutional weight of the issue. The morning light cast long, harsh shadows across Buckingham Palace's well-kept gardens as Queen Camilla hurried to the king's study. Her shoes made a loud sound on the polished marble floor, which echoed through the cavernous corridors where royal drama had taken place for hundreds of years. She felt that today was different, but she couldn't say why. The palace staff's usual friendliness seemed strained, and they looked away. A little but unsettling difference was that even her personal assistant didn't look her in the eye during their daily briefing. King Charles sat at his huge mahogany desk in the study, tapping his fingers in a crazy, wordless rhythm on the ancient leather top. This showed how upset he was. There was a lot of political and economic trouble in the morning papers, but it wasn't these public matters that made his face tense. He disregarded a secret group of private investigators who were accumulating evidence for weeks, thinking that the bad situation would work itself out and that it would be a terrible mistake. After viewing the images, sworn statements, and damning financial records, he could no longer deny being dishonest and greedy. Camilla came in and said, "Good morning, darling," in her usual cheerful, brave voice. She kissed his cheek, which was a habit that had kept them together for years. Charles sat up straight in his chair and looked at the papers. As the gesture hung between them for too long, it turned from warm to cold. Camilla stopped smiling. Charles said, "We need to talk," in a chilly, heavy voice that made Camilla's heart skip a beat. She had heard that tone before, when they were having their hardest conversations about integrating their children, how the world saw them, and the problems they experienced in their marriage later in life. But this time, everything felt different. Everything looked like everything was set in stone. Camilla sat across from him in a plush chair, trembling and straightening her blue dress. "What's wrong, Charles? You were gone for days." The king looked her in the eye. In that moment, Camilla saw something she had never seen in all the years they had been together: profound, real disappointment that cut through her like ice. Charles said, "Your son," in a strong voice, even though he was upset. "Tom Parker Bowles. This includes evaluations of restaurants' criticism of food and appearances on TV. The foundation is a lie." Camilla couldn't breathe. For months, she has had a low-grade concern about this day. She understood that Tom and his business partners had a clever plan to utilize his royal family ties to acquire good evaluations, exclusive access, and big TV deals. At first, it seemed innocent, a little name-dropping, and some clever references to his royal links, just as any well-connected person would do. "I can explain, Charles." With controlled anger, the king said, "No, there's more. Laura, your daughter, gifts, patronage, and charitable work. Do you know where the money went? Do you know what she did with the money for poor kids?" Camilla was the center of attention in the room. Her knuckles became white against the burgundy velvet as she clutched the armrests of her chair. The family liked that Laura did charity work as a way to give back and demonstrate that they cared about others. She never thought it could be phony. "That's not possible," she said, breaking. "Laura would never—" Charles dragged a big folder across the desk, which was shiny. "The evidence is there. Bank records, witness statements, and photographs from security cameras. Your kids have exploited their links to the crown for their personal advantage and worse. They've been doing it in ways that might destroy everything we've created." Camilla's hands shook as she opened the folder. First, a bank statement indicated that Laura's children's charity made big, untraceable payments to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. The second was a shaky telephoto view of Tom collecting a big manila package from a restaurant owner who is said to be a gangster. Third was a transcript of a conversation between Laura and a business partner on how to leverage her royal connections to earn maximum profit from rich donors. She muttered, "This can't be real. My kids wouldn't hurt me. They wouldn't harm us," Charles said. "I have had investigators working on this for 2 months." He softened when he saw how scared she was. "I kept hoping they would find something, anything to show that it was a mistake." "Camilla, the proof is too strong. It's clear." Camilla looked up from the awful paperwork which was making her cry and making the black and white facts seem different. "What do you mean, Charles?" "What does it mean?" The king got up and walked to the big window. He looked out at the gardens where people came every day to enjoy the royal life that his family was now being accused of ruining. "It makes me choose between my wife and the crown. I have to choose between protecting the monarchy and your family's good name." "You can't be serious," Camilla said, standing up straight. "We can fix it. We can make it better. Tom and Laura made mistakes, but they are still good people. They can say they're sorry." Charles turned to face her with a severe look like a king. "Camilla, the damage is done. This will be in the news in a few days. The opposition will use it to make the monarchy seem bad. Parliament will want answers, and I have to provide them." "What do you want to happen?" she asked, knowing she would hate the response. Charles said, "Your kids can no longer have any official or unofficial ties to the royal family," making his message very clear. No public appearances, charity work, or businesses related to the royal family. They had to go for good. They have to stop becoming public figures. Camilla was shocked. "You want me to choose between my husband and my kids?" Charles remarked, "I want you to know that what your kids do has effects that go far beyond this family," getting back into his kingly accent. "Crown must be beyond reproach. People's faith in the monarchy is what keeps us alive." His words made the room seem heavy like a blanket. Camilla lay back and thought about what might happen next. Her children's futures, reputations, and ways of making a living are all on the line. The royal family she had tried so hard to fit into put a strain on her marriage, which she had fought so hard to save and grow. Eventually, she responded, "I need time. I need to think." Charles nodded slowly, and his expression showed that he was upset about having to do it. "Until tomorrow morning. At noon, there will be an announcement from the palace, with or without your permission." Camilla left the study on legs that looked like lead. Once familiar hallways seemed strange and unwelcoming. She had to work hard to get where she was and get her title. Now it seemed like the title, the crown, might destroy all she cared about. As the rain fell on her private apartment in the afternoon, Camilla reclined in her favorite chair with the folder that may get her in trouble on the coffee table. Each paper made her feel like she had been deceived, and each photo made her feel like she had been stabbed. She taught Tom and Laura to be good people who valued honesty and hard work. What had gone wrong? A soft tap on the door brought her thoughts to a halt. "Come in," she yelled, her voice hoarse. Her long-standing personal assistant, Margaret, brought her newspapers and tea. "Your Majesty, I thought you might need something to drink," Margaret said quietly. "And I'm sorry to say that there are some things you should know about." Camilla was happy to see her friend and asked her to sit down. "How bad, Margaret?" Margaret frowned. The detectives gathered further proof. Tom's restaurant business appears to rely a lot on his connections to the royal family. He has been getting big payments from corporations in exchange for good reviews, and his TV production company has been making contracts bigger by offering access to royal events that never materialize. Camilla put the teacup down and it hit the saucer. "And Laura, her charity's documents show that more than £5 million flowed to fake businesses. Investigators think she utilized her royal connections to get huge presents that never made it to the people they were meant for. Your Majesty, families have given their life savings to save sick children, only to discover it in offshore accounts." Camilla felt terrible and put her hands over her face. The lie was huge, not little mistakes or wrong judgments. Her children had exploited their royal ties for their own benefit, which broke the trust of the people the monarchy was intended to serve. Margaret replies gently, "There's more." The king's counselors say to act quickly. They are worried that if this news gets out before the palace can deal with it, it would be a constitutional disaster. The parliament is already looking into the royal family's money and responsibility. What action right away, Camilla asked, even though she thought she knew. Cutting off all ties between your kids and the royal family. No titles, patronages, or public appearances. Margaret paused, conflicted between being honest and being loyal to Camilla. Some advisors also suggest taking a step back. Of course, for a short time, until it is fixed. Words hit Camilla like a blow. She had worked for years to become queen consort, slowly winning over a people that was afraid of her. Giving up her hard-earned employment seemed like betraying all she had worked for. She said, "I will not leave my husband. Charles needs me now more than ever." With a sorrowful smile, Margaret said, "I thought you might say that. But your majesty, your kids are trying to get in touch with you. Laura phones the palace every hour and Tom got back from his book tour early this morning, wanting to see you." Camilla got up and walked to the window to see the rain turn into rivers. Her kids in London freaked out and tried to limit the damage. Did they know how much they were hurting, or were they afraid of being caught? She said, "I can't face them yet. I don't know what to say. That might be best. The king has said that the palace's legal staff must handle any interaction with your children. They may be called as witnesses in a criminal case." Camilla trembled at the word criminal. She believed this was a disaster for her family and a betrayal of her own. If she thought about being charged with a crime, the situation was worse than she thought. She turned to her secretary and said, "Margaret, be honest with me. Can I protect my marriage and kids?" For a long time, Margaret didn't say anything. "Your Majesty, I've watched you deal with circumstances that were insurmountable. This could be the hardest choice you've ever had to make. Think about which choice you can manage. Could you give up your kids' prospects for the monarchy? Could you stand to watch your school break apart because you couldn't make the tough choice?" The phone rang again. This time, Margaret answered. After a brief chat, she hung up looking frightened. That was the king's private secretary. The press got the story. It will be on the first page of the Daily Mail tomorrow morning. They want a statement from the palace. The king wants to conclude the official response with you in an hour. Camilla had weak legs. Suddenly, she had to make a hard choice that had been hard before. The story would end no matter what she did to meet Charles's wishes. The only thing left to worry about was whether she would stay with her husband while the monarchy weathered the storm or be slain by her children's greed. She said, "Margaret," and her resolve became stronger. "Please call the king's office and tell them I'll be there in 30 minutes. Camilla walked inside the king's private office, which was surrounded by the royal household's senior officers, making it seem smaller. Charles, the head of the conference table, looked grim and drawn. Around him were his private secretary, Sir James Harrison, his press secretary, his legal advisor, and his head of security. There was a lot of tension as before a fight. Sir James responded, "Tomorrow morning the Daily Mail will come out. Pictures, documents, and accounts from witnesses. The story will say that Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes are guilty of widespread fraud and abusing their royal connections." "What's their angle?" Charles asked in a calm voice. The press secretary stated, "They are framing it as a royal oversight failure. The headline reads, 'Queen's children make millions off crown while palace ignores it.' Actually, they say that the royal family knew and didn't care, or that they were bad at their jobs. Both stories are horrible." The lawyer leaned in and said, "We have three options. The first is to deny everything and fight it out in court. Long drawn out fight with bad press. Two, say that there were lapses in judgment and that an internal review would be done. This admits culpability, but it's not very strong. Three, start with a rapid, thorough answer." "What would decisive action look like?" Camilla asked in a soft voice. "Complete and permanent severance of all ties," Sir James said carefully. "There are no titles, patronages, or crown representation. They would be regular people with no links to the royal family. We also promise to fully cooperate with any police investigation into a crime." Camilla's face bled. "You are putting my kids' lives in danger." The press secretary politely remarked, "Ma'am, with all due respect, your children ruined their lives when they chose this path. Our aims are to limit the damage done by monarchies and protect them from legal problems. People won't tolerate this treachery." Charles stared at his wife, hoping she would understand. "Camilla, I need to know where you are. Could you please support all our efforts to safeguard the school?" The question hung in the air like a guillotine. Camilla looked around the table at the faces of those who had worked for the crown for a long time. They weren't mean. They were realistic and were looking out for something bigger than her family. She responded softly, her voice becoming firmer. "I need certain guarantees if I agree to this. I need to know that Tom and Laura won't be charged with a crime for helping. I need to know that they will have a chance to say sorry, even if it's only to themselves." The lawyer said, "That can be arranged. Working together to avoid prosecution is possible." Camilla continued, her eyes hard. "And I need to tell them, not via lawyers or other people. They need to hear what I have to say." Charlie nodded. "Of course." The room fell into a heavy silence. Camilla then spoke the words that would change her life and the lives of her children. "I'll do it. I will support all you do." The room was full with relief, yet it was also sad. This was only the beginning. 2 hours later, Tom and Laura were seated across from their mother in her living room. They looked tired and worried, but they didn't know how bad things were going to become. Camilla added, "The palace has been looking into it," her voice stronger than she felt. "We know it all. We know how restaurants, TV deals, and charity work when it comes to money." Tom's color faded. Laura clutched her lips and looked shocked and scared. "Mom, I can explain," Tom said. "No," Camilla said firmly. "This doesn't make sense. Tom, £5 million. Yes, Laura, millions for sick kids. Do you understand what you're doing? Not only money that was taken, you lied to everyone who trusted this family. We can fix this," Tom pleaded with all his heart. "We can pay you back and say sorry," Camilla cried out. "It's too late for that. The story comes out tomorrow. The king made a choice. Stop any ties with the royal family. For good. No public appearances, titles, or patronages. You will be seen as normal people with no royal connections." The silence in the room was deafening. Tom finally exclaimed, "You can't be serious with disbelief and anger. You are our mother. You can't leave us." Camilla turned to them and said softly, "I'm not leaving you," as tears streamed down her face. "I'm keeping you safe from being charged. There is a lot of proof against you. If you cooperate and accept the situation calmly, the authorities won't press charges. You'll both go to jail if you don't do what I say." Tom yelled, "This is crazy," as he paced the room like a caged animal. "You're ruining our lives for your monarchy. You ruined your lives when you stole from charities," Camilla said, losing her temper. "I didn't hurt you. You hurt yourself." "But we're your kids," Laura said. "Doesn't that matter?" "It means everything," Camilla said, her voice fading in despair. "I give up my happiness to give you a chance to make things right." As her children left the palace for the last time, their angry and hopeless glances made Camilla feel something break. Protecting the crown cost her more than she thought it would. The hurricane-force story surfaced the next morning. Brutal headlines. People were angry and doubtful. As expected, the palace verified the accusations and cut ties for good. But then something that couldn't be imagined happened. Tom and Laura fought back, saying they were being used as scapegoats. Tom said the palace tacitly approved of his business methods, which made him money because of his fame. Laura said her charity's money problems were due to poor oversight by palace officials, not fraud. The crisis turned into a constitutional inferno. The Prime Minister called an extraordinary session of Parliament. The monarchy was fighting for its existence, not just a scandal. As he watched the news, Charles said, "They're trying to completely destroy us." His face was pale. Camilla made her final, most desperate move in a state of complete fear. "I will do a television interview," she informed the stunned war room. "I should tell the truth to the public." The risk was quite high, but she told Charles, "I am already connected to this. Their actions are like mine. It's up to me to tell the truth or let their lies shape the story." 2 days later, Queen Camilla sat next to a well-known journalist in a TV studio with very bright lights. The people of the nation held their breath. She was calm and brutally honest. She spoke about the timeline of the discovery, admitting that the palace's oversight was bad, and sharply reprimanded her children. The journalist asked the question that everyone was eager to hear. "Your Majesty, how can you publicly disown your children as a mother?" Camilla looked at the camera with deep sadness, not anger. Mothers must first teach their children right from wrong. When they stray so far from that path, she must love them enough to keep them responsible, even if it breaks her heart. "I didn't agree with their choices, not my children. My queenhood and motherhood required no less." The interview went quite well. After the separation, public opinion changed a lot in her favor. People saw her as a lady who had to choose between family and morals, not as a cruel tyrant. After the telecast, she walked through the palace halls and saw the full cost. The excitement turned into a wave of sadness, stress, and emotional exhaustion. The fight from last week, the banishment of her children, and the public battle for the monarchy's soul were all weighing on her. As she walked past a stoic King's Guard formation, her legs gave out. She sobbed and screamed. The elaborate ceiling blurred as the globe tilted. Before the scared soldiers could reach her, Queen Camilla fell asleep on the marble floor. The awful sight of the Queen of the United Kingdom, fainting in a palace hallway, became the crisis's symbol of the huge personal cost that had to be paid to protect the crown. She had won the public war, but the emotional one had broken her. The monarchy became better after a few months. Tom and Laura disappeared when their reputations were ruined. The institution was stronger after being held responsible. Camilla's victory felt empty. Price was in her soul. A few months later, a note slipped under her door one night. It was from Laura. It talked about working at a children's hospital, finding peace, and realizing how wrong her mother was. "You saved the monarchy," Laura wrote. "More importantly, you stopped me from becoming unlivable. Thank you for loving me enough to stop." Camilla sobbed as she read the letter. Maybe she chose family and duty after all. The road to forgiveness was arduous, but for the first time in a long time, Camilla Parker Bowles, queen of a secure kingdom, allowed herself hope. Thanks for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for now.